Okay, today guys, we are going to take a dive into looking at how to eat for strength and size. So, quick recap on yesterday. Yesterday we established that there's a new blog post out that we've done, and this blog post is on here. So the blog post is how not to be the weakest guy in the gym, and we said that was a bit of a negative spin on essentially how to get stronger, alright? And yesterday we took a dive look into this one here, so we focused on compound exercises and not isolation exercises. So there's the write-up on the blog, and then we did this video yesterday. We have Mark Harrison who's on board now, and Brendan. So we had a look at some of these exercises. So we worked through a few different exercises, and I taught you through the difference between these compound lifts and isolation lifts. So before we go any further, guys, just let me know who's on board. If you can hear and see all right. Did you watch yesterday's video? Did you take much from it? Mark Harrison, morning big dog. One of our demo guys yesterday, looking good. So I'm just going to take a quick sip of my coffee while you guys just check in. And yeah, so today what we want to look at, guys, is specifically nutrition relating to training for strength and size. And what we want to identify over the next few minutes in this video is I want to reveal the biggest mistake that I see most people making. Good man, Mark. All right, good stuff. So the biggest nutritional mistake that we see people making all the time when it comes to gaining strength and size in the gym. I want to have a look at why the game's massively changing, or why the game has changed. So 2017, the game's changed since going back 2010, 7 years. It's a completely different game now, and I'm going to talk to you about why that's the case. And I want to talk to you about the consequences of not getting this fucking nutrition piece right, guys, in terms of the overall puzzle that we're looking at, which is training for strength and size. Jim G, how are you doing, big man, jumping on? So, yeah, related back to the blog from yesterday, you've seen what that's all about, and today we're gonna jump into the nutritional side of things. So the biggest mistake, guys, that we see people making is that and I get this, by the way, before I go any further, I get this, okay? But the biggest mistake is people don't eat enough. When you're training for strength and size, you need to have a focus on the inclusive. When you're training for fat loss, you need to have a focus on the inclusive. All right, that's almost like a psychological thing. But when we're training for strength and size, that's even more important. And what we often see is that people who are training for strength and size, they're on like a health kick, and they're like, fuck, I want to get in shape. So all of a sudden they like cut all the junk food out, all the alcohol out, and the net result is that they're just not eating enough in general. And when you're not eating enough, because you've got this restrictive mindset towards your food, you feel like you're missing out, okay? You become weak in the gym, which is like a huge issue. We drop muscle mass, which if you want to burn fat will affect you as a knock-on effect of that, because we said yesterday that our metabolic rate will drop. All right, so if we drop muscle mass because we are not eating enough, our metabolic rate will drop. Therefore, we will find it more difficult to burn fat. So then now we're even more a skinny fat guy, which is the complete opposite to what we want in the first place. Our energy levels are going to drop. So then what's that going to do if you focus in the gym? What the whole idea of doing gym work in the first place is to have a positive effect on the rest of your life. Well, because your nutrition's not on point, because you're not eating enough food, if your energy levels drop, what's the effect going to be on your relationship? What's the effect going to be on your career? What's the effect going to be on your overall life, like how you feel about yourself? So we've got to remember why we're doing this, guys. And the net result is that when we don't eat enough, we get zero results in terms of body, actual change in body shape, or actual improvements in what we can lift, or bigger muscles. We get zero results, and we can go backwards. But like I just said when I moved on to this piece, I do get it. And the reason I get it is because people are worried that if they overeat, that they're going to get fat. And that's a massive concern, because most guys, we talk about strength and size, but most guys actually want like a lean and athletic look. So they want that strength and size, but they don't want that at the expense of like tons and tons and tons of body fat. So therefore, what people can end up doing is being a bit frightened of carbohydrates, being a bit frightened of overeating calories. And that's like a mindset shift, and this is why we need to get it right, and this is why I'm telling you that the game's changing, guys. It's 2017. There's new ways of doing things than there was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So a couple more guys jumping on now. James Philpott, how are you, mate? I hope the holiday's good. I think you're back now, aren't you? But hope you had a good time. Scotty Ogden, shout out to this boy winning his third fight on Saturday, white collar boxing. Massive shout out to you, Scott. So I just want to tell you basically how I kind of learnt this lesson myself, and for me, I want to go back to 2010, just before our wedding. I hired a nutritionist at the time. I wanted to get in like peak shape, and the thing that I was most bothered about was like having abs. I fucking wanted that. It was my mission to have abs, and that was more important than being strong, and it was more important than having muscle size. If you guys scroll back on my Facebook, you'll see like there's pretty decent pictures of me, shirtless pictures in the gym, like ripped to shreds. And what happened with me was that the level of information was not anywhere near as high back then, all right, 2009, 2010. I'm going to come on to that in a minute as in the next part of this video. And what ended up happening, the net result was that I ended up massively dropping my calories, like too low. Like my protein was high, all right, so I was hitting decent protein targets, but my calories had got too low because I cut out all my carbs. I wasn't eating kind of many fats, and my overall calories had dropped. So although I had burnt body fat, and you could visually see like my abs were completely out, I was defined everywhere, what had ended up happening, I'd lost a lot of muscle and I was weak as piss. And I learnt that because what happened with me was that was the year, 2009, I opened up my first gym. All right, I was heavily in the trenches at that point, like working like 35 hours of personal training a week, just like banging out lots and lots and lots of personal training hours. So I was learning quickly, and when I implemented this with other people, like this was the same mistake that we saw. And over the next few years, or next few months, and next year or so, you made it my mission to find out more about, well, how can we avoid this? Like, how can we get people fucking shredded, but without losing muscle mass? And obviously we don't want to resort to taking steroids or doing anything unnatural or doing anything unhealthy. Like, we're completely against that at RM Fitness. So it was a case of saying, well, how can we get people as lean as possible but keep them as big as possible, or get them even bigger while they're getting lean, or certainly getting them stronger while they're getting lean. And that was kind of essentially the start of this kind of the way we do things now, the way we coach, our kind of methodologies. That was the start point. So I'd learned it from a negative experience on myself. Okay, I dropped my calories too low. At that time, I'd pay to see, one of the best nutritionists around. And that was the level of information that was available back in 2010. And because it didn't work, it worked for me in that I got lean, but I look back and I think, Jesus, scrawny as shit, and I couldn't bench press, I couldn't squat, I wasn't deadlifting very much, and I wouldn't want to go back there. Like, I'd prefer to have a bit of extra body fat, but be stronger and have the muscle size at the minute. James Anderson jumping on, big shout out to you, mate. You've achieved some fucking fantastic results, mate. Fantastic results. So that was the start of it, really. Like, how can we, in terms of preparing for that wedding in 2010, and ended up like lean but a bit scrawny, and lacking that sort of strength as well, not being the tallest of guys, like I didn't have much presence. So it's all good, isn't it, when you take a t-shirt off and you're fucking shredded to death? That's great, but then at the same time, like 95% of the time you're walking around with your t-shirt on. So I want to look good in a t-shirt. Like, I want to have like decent. It's important for me to have decent size arms, shoulders, chest, things that look good in a t-shirt, not just good without t-shirt. So yeah, that was the start of kind of like this quest of, well, how can we, get guys big and strong, but get them lean as well? Like, what's the way to do this? And that was the kind of start point, like I said. And I want to tell you like why the game's changing now. I'm just going to have a bit more of my coffee, guys. So the game's changed because it's 2017, and what's happened over, increasingly so over the last few years is we're in that era of information, aren't we? So James Anderson, who's on here, Emma, how are you doing as well? James Anderson, he's an IT guy, so he'll vouch for me on this one. But you can Google anything, all right? We've got a million different apps we can get onto our phone, all right? And this is why the information's changed, guys. I want you to really listen to this. back in the old school days, when I first qualified as a PT, all right, when I was at university between the ages of like 19 and 21, or 18 and 21, in them first 10 years, guys, or first sort of 8 years or so, there wasn't these tangible method, these apps of quickly calculating like calories and protein and carbs and fat, and quickly being able to Google and find resources on, well, how much should I be having of each nutrient, or how many calories should I be having? There wasn't that information there. And this is why, in some respects, like there's no excuses now. Because you can download an app, like the app's MyFitnessPal. I'm sure you guys that are watching this have all heard of it. But you can download that app and you can see exactly where your calories are. You can see exactly what your protein intake is, your carbohydrates, your fats, like different types of fats. And you can work out like exactly where you are. Whereas going back 10 years, that wasn't the case. You had to, like I'd have a journal and I'd write down what I ate, and then I'd have to go and get my handbook, and then I'd have to work out, well, like this many grams of this, and do it all by pen and paper and with a calculator, and at the end of the day, summarise. And that's what I did, and that's why I got such a good understanding of it, because I went through that process, and that was the only way to do it back in the olden days. So now it's just so easy, guys. It's at a touch of it's there, isn't it? It's on this device that's in my hand. I can access that type of information. And that's why the game's massively changed. So, call to action for you guys. I'm going to jump on my whiteboard now. I'm just in my office. Right, call to action. So, I've got a 6-point call to action. So, the first one, we're going to download MyFitnessPal. Now, what I want you to do with all these videos, I'm going to do a video every day this week, all right, around this blog of gaining strength and size. With all these videos, guys, they're designed to be used with the blog, all right? I'm not just going to duplicate what I've said in the blog. So some of this information is going to be in the blog. If you've never heard of MyFitnessPal, all right, jump on the blog because it talks about it in there, all right? Number one, you're going to download MyFitnessPal. Number two, okay, the second piece inside this game, you get input for 7 days. All right, you're not going to do anything. I don't want you to change anything. I want you to input for 7 days. Number three, you are going to then assess where at. Okay, so you're going to, number three, you're going to assess where you're at, and this is relative to the numbers in the blog. So this is relative to the numbers in the blog. One thing on that point, guys, this is for strength and size, and this is more of a male orientated blog. What I might do, okay, is, because I didn't envisage doing this live feed necessarily every day, especially this nutrition one, what I might do, I might go in there and change it for women. The protein one will be fine, but the calories target might not be. Big Dean Kane jumping on. So, inside of this game of what I want you to do after this video, guys, we've got these 3 points. Number one, you're going to download MyFitnessPal. Number two, you're going to input your food intake, so anything that's got calories in, for the next 7 days into MyFitnessPal, and you're not going to alter it too much. Number three, you're going to assess where you are at relative to the numbers in the blog. And the numbers in the blog are calories and protein we've talked about. Okay, number four. The fourth piece is you're then, after the 7 days, going to move towards those numbers. Okay? So the fourth piece is you're going to then move, after 7 days, towards these numbers across here. And the fifth point, okay, in this 6-point piece, is after you've done that, you're going to do it, after you've moved towards those numbers, you're going to run with that for 2 weeks. And you're going to monitor. Okay? So you're going to move towards those numbers, whatever they are for you, and it's calculated off your body weight, and you're going to keep it like that for 2 weeks, not matter what you feel like, alright, not matter what happens, you stay there. And then number 6 is you then adjust. You adjust based off that feedback. Okay, so there's 6 pieces inside this game. Number 1, we're going to download MyFitnessPal. Okay. Number 2, we're going to input the next 7 days worth of nutrition into MyFitnessPal. Number 3, we're then going to assess where we're at once we've got some tangible data relative to the numbers in the blog, and we're talking about calories and proteins. Number 4, we're then going to move towards those numbers. Okay, so whatever they are for you off your body weight. Okay, number 5, we're then going to just stick at those numbers for 2 weeks, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to monitor, and then after we've done that, we're going to... Now, on Friday's video, I'm going to do a video on Friday, and Friday's video is all about having a plan. So what we're going to talk a bit more then is about the power of the plan and being able to adjust what you're doing. Okay, so that's us for today, guys. Let me log back in, 001, right, let's go. Ram. So the blog post so far, how not to be the weakest guy in the gym, okay, aka how to get stronger. Number 1 yesterday, we looked at compound movements, not isolation exercises. Number 2 today, we've looked at nutrition and why it's important that you eat more. Number 3, tomorrow I might do one on knowing your why. This is mindset, this is fucking critical. And the 4th piece is about cardio, like how much cardio to do. And then the last piece is having a plan. So guys, make sure you're referring back to that blog post. Alright, speak to you tomorrow.